Welcome to episode 2 of From the Bleachers. What an awesome sports weekend we've got coming up. Today we're going to talk about the madness in Manchester. The Mourinho situation, of course, it's something that just won't go away. We saw his response to Juve this week, again to the Juve fans, something that's made Manchester United fans and indeed the board uneasy before his arrival, and I know they are uneasy with him now. So we're going to talk about Mourinho's madness in Manchester. We're then going to talk about Liverpool's lust for their manager. Is Jurgen Klopp protected by the media? Or is he indeed a managerial guru? Does he bring a feel-good factor which sort of transcends the actual results, So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then, of course, from now on, every single Friday, I will give you my FridayFive. Today we talk about who are the greatest strikers the Premier League has ever had. I'll give you my top 5. So stick around for that. That's going to be absolutely awesome. And then, of course, as I said, a massive sporting weekend. I'll give you my predictions. The Springboks, of course, play France after their narrow loss to England last week. Then it is, of course, England against the All Blacks. The All Blacks are in town at Twickenham. And then, of course, the Manchester Derby this weekend to round off what has been quite an intense week for Manchester United. But we're going to get into it and we're going to go back to Old Trafford. And we're going to start with Jose Mourinho and the situation there. So, as we all go, at around 22, most of us are at university. And there's always that one good-looking girl. And she is just like super crazy. Gets drunk 4 times a week. She'll just be called fun, spunky, finding herself. She's all cool, but she's really good-looking. So whether you like it or not, in life, better-looking people get away with more. I'm not saying it's fair, but that's real life. If you don't like it, deal with it. If you don't like it and you don't want to accept it, it's going to be a long life for you. Better looking people get away with much more. Male, female, I don't care where you are. If they're better looking, they're going to get away with more. But at 22, you get away with even more. And if you're the good looking girl at university, we let you get away with getting drunk 4 times a week. And even if you're my girlfriend, I'll let you get away with it more because it's just cool to have a good looking girlfriend. Or alternatively, boyfriend, which is also okay. But when you get to about 28, you don't get away with that anymore. And the good-looking girl doesn't understand that change when it happens. At 28, I don't really want my girlfriend getting drunk on a Sunday night. Like, that's not cool, funky, different anymore. Now I just want Sally, who's the accountant and can just be a mom to my baby, trying to build a career, maybe get a second property that we can rent out. I don't want a party girl. I don't want somebody who thinks they're more special than everyone. I just don't want that. It sounds like a nightmare. I'm a grown-up now. I'm 28. I'm the head of my marketing department. I'm tired on Sundays. I want to relax. I don't want a party girl that wants to get hammered on a Sunday. You're not special. The world doesn't revolve around you. Good looks stop to matter at about 28 in life. It's time to be adults. If you got kids, I want somebody who's going to help me build a home as my wife or husband, and actually help me look after my kids. I don't want the spunky girl who gets drunk 4 times a week. It's not university anymore. In 2012, so Bobby Charlton said, "We really, really like Jose Mourinho, but he won't suit Manchester United." At the time, of course, David Moyes had been lined up already, but Moyes wasn't first choice from everything that's coming out now. They discussed Mourinho intently. At the time, of course, he'd just done what he'd done at Inter Milan, Real Madrid, and at that time was about to become available. But Fergie had handpicked David Moyes. He'd done an incredible job, and he felt it was like Fergie 2.0. We know how that went, but Sir Bobby Charlton, in his very own words, Jose would not suit United. He pontificates too much for my liking. That's Sir Bobby Charlton saying that, not me. And when Sir Bobby Charlton says it, if you're going to marry a girl, you need the consent of the father and generally the family. So Bobby Charlton is a father figure at Manchester United. And when he says, you're not the guy, you're not the guy. But okay, Manchester United's hand has been forced by a series of unfortunate events, namely David Moyes, Louis van Gaal. The Ryan Giggs saga, of course, didn't last too long. But they had to go back to Mourinho. And that was uncomfortable for everybody. The father figure said, no, he's not for us. He's not the guy for us. But they didn't listen. Ed Woodward said, Jose Mourinho, you are the guy. 2016, Jose Mourinho was the manager. Came to Old Trafford, riding in on his big white horse. Can he rescue the situation? It has been a calamity post-Fergie. Keep in mind, Sir Bobby Charlton, Jose Mourinho would not suit United. He pontificates too much for my liking. Jose Mourinho has never not been just like the 22-year-old pretty girl who drinks far too much, 4 times a week. She's hammered. Sunday night, she's hammered. But she's pretty, so we'll let her get away with it. Everybody wants a good-looking girlfriend. So you let better-looking people get away with more. Jose Mourinho has never not been first choice. And just like the pretty 22-year-old girl, when she turns 28, she doesn't understand why she doesn't get away with madness anymore. Jose Mourinho has never had anybody tell him that he's not first choice. Just like the pretty girl at 22, she's always been everybody's first choice. It's great to have good-looking people around the pool party in university. But when it's time for grown-ups, we don't want people being hammered at a family lunch on a Sunday for a 6-year-old's birthday. You want grown-ups. And when somebody doesn't feel loved and knows they're not the first decision, and they've never had that before, they don't always behave in the best way. If you know you're not somebody's best choice, number one choice, whether it's a friendship or a relationship, it's not always going to go down well. Deep down, you know something's off. Jose Mourinho was not Manchester United's first choice, and he knows that. And they know that he knows that. That is where the relationship started. 2016, Jose Mourinho came in, and it has been nothing short of a disaster so far. By Manchester United standards, it has been a calamity. But Jose Mourinho will tell you, as he constantly says, after Juventus, he said, you should have heard what they were calling me. Oh, why always me? Mario Balotelli, not the very first to say that. Jose Mourinho now adopting the why always me attitude. I'll tell you why. In 2005, Jose Mourinho involved in tapping up Ashley Cole from Arsenal to Chelsea. It's confirmed. He got fined for it. They reduced the fine, but it's confirmed. He was in the meeting with Ashley Cole illegally. In 2005, he called Arsenal's legendary manager Arsene Wenger a voyeur. I'll let that sink in. That is a crime you can go to prison for. Stalking and looking in on people. He called him a voyeur. Arsene Wenger, apparently, no matter what you think of him, ultimately the classiest figure perhaps the Premier League has ever seen as a manager, was relegated in the eyes of Jose Mourinho to a voyeur. And he didn't say that in private. He said that in a press conference. He then proceeded to call the very same manager, whether you agree or disagree, a specialist in failure. Not in private, in front of the world's media. He reduced Arsene Wenger down, in his very own words, nobody said it for him, to a specialist in failure. A few years before, of course, and this is my favorite one, Jose Mourinho eye-gouged Tito Villanova, who sadly passed. Okay, that doesn't affect the story, but he did sadly pass. And what a tragic story that was. But Jose Mourinho did eye-gouge him, not in private, not in a fight, in the world's biggest football match, El Clasico. So Jose Mourinho wants his cake and he wants to eat it. Why always me, Jose Mourinho says. Those are just 4 incidents that I'm giving you from a long, long list of indiscretions. Jose Mourinho says, why always me? It's me against the world. See, here's the thing about me against the world, is if you create the narrative of me against the world, you don't also get the card of why always me. You can't have both. Mourinho wants both. Why always me? You have to give back the card. Right? If it's me against the world, you can't have why always me. Especially if you create the narrative of me against the world. If the world misconstrues who you are, of course, that's a different story, and that does happen. I'm not denying that. The world does make mistakes more often than not. The masses are wrong. But when you create the narrative of me against the world, us against the world, you can't say, why always me? You can't say, did you hear what they called me? Jose Mourinho, once again, tapped up Ashley Cole, called Arsene Wenger a voyeur, called Arsene Wenger a specialist in failure, and eye gouged a man in open public display. This is the man who says, why always me? So he creates the narrative of me against the world. And this is what Sir Bobby Charlton did not want for Manchester United. He said, we like Jose Mourinho, he's a good manager, but he would not suit United. He pontificates too much for my liking. Eye gouge, tapping up. These are all things that happened, so Bobby saw it from the beginning. The father figure said no. Ed Woodward went against the father figure, and here we are now. Me against the world, Jose Mourinho wants, but he does want to deal with the consequences. Like most people who are me against the world, they never want to deal with the consequences. And the thing about people is people don't change. I know the wonderful narrative is people change. People don't change. They can alter their behavior slightly. People don't change. And the great thing about people is people will always tell you who they are. You just have to give them the time. If you want to see who people are, give them the time to show you who they are. So Jose Mourinho, best behavior first season. Ooh, we saw the crack second season. And well, this season it has been fireworks, hasn't it? He has incited pure hate towards Man United as though they needed any more. Me against the world. At Porto, that works. At Inter Milan, that works. At Real Madrid, well, it's me against the world because Florentino Perez creates that narrative without you. He doesn't need you to create that. At Manchester United, I'm afraid, the club is bigger than Jose Mourinho. And he does not know how to deal with that, and it is mayhem. This is the man who said, don't call me arrogant, because what I'm saying is true, but I'm a special one. So he doesn't need anybody to tell him he's special. How do you rein somebody like that in? And Manchester United say, no, no, no. So Bobby Charlton said, no, no, no. Ed Woodward said, yes, yes, yes. The self-confessed special one, he is off the leash now, and Manchester United are not equipped to deal with him because forever they were spoilt with Sir Alex Ferguson, who barely ever brought them into disrepute this often. People don't change. It is only Manchester United's fault, the board's fault, for employing Jose Mourinho. They got desperate, and they are not sticking to the United way. I think it's made more difficult by that the big opposition now are the noisy neighbours, as they famously labelled, Manchester City. So they had to act. They had to act big because it's been 2 misses in a row. Van Gaal, big miss. Moyes, a cataclysm of the most ridiculous proportion of cataclysms. An absolute disaster, an abolition in the club's history. It's truly been a black mark in the management and the club's history over the last 5 years. And people say, oh, you just don't like Jose Mourinho because, I'll be honest, I'm a Chelsea fan. I say, no, I've got no problem with Jose. He's great. He's great as a manager. So I say, okay, let me take myself out because maybe I'm biased. People say, oh, you're just bitter because he left your football club. Okay, perhaps true. How have other clubs responded when he's left their clubs? What condition has he left those clubs in? People say, yes, what about Inter Milan? I'll come back to that. Very unique set of circumstances. Chelsea first time could not wait to get rid of him. All the players, the management, they could not get him out fast enough. He was paid something near £15 million, which in 2006 is a truckload to leave. They said, Jose, you can do your work anywhere but here. You're welcome to do work anywhere but here, and we'll pay you to do that. Roman Abramovich, I'm sure, has had to deal with the worst of the worst. He said, this guy's not for me. Real Madrid, Florentino Perez, he has dealt with it all. Perhaps saved, I would say, in the first sort of 2 seasons by the fact that Florentino Perez is a bigger nightmare than Jose Mourinho. But when he left, the players could not wait to get rid of him. Giorgio Valverde, of course, one of the great Argentine players and one of the sporting directors who took Real Madrid to the next level, if such a thing could happen, in the late 90s and early noughties. Famous for his Galactico project along with Florentino Perez the very first time. Had to quit because Jose Mourinho couldn't handle working with him. When Jose left Real Madrid, they couldn't wait to get rid of him. When Jose left Inter Milan, I remember all the videos, players crying around him. And everybody said, oh my goodness, it's so sad that he's leaving. But look at the players that were crying. All the troublemakers. Materazzi. But all the big boys, the real ones, I've read subsequently that they could not wait to get rid of him. And most importantly, and I might be biased here, my favorite footballer of all time, the Tractor, and indeed the greatest Inter player to ever live, Javier Zanetti, said it had become toxic in the dressing room, quote unquote. So remember, that's how you judge. What do people say when you aren't there? And how you know that is how people feel when you leave. How do they respond? He left Inter Milan, Real Madrid, and Chelsea twice. And everywhere Jose has been, they could not wait to get rid of him. So this thing is called production versus tolerance. People will always show you who they are, just give them the time. But let me take you through production versus tolerance in life. If you're young and you get to listen to this, there's something called production versus tolerance in life. Life is not fair. So if you produce the best results, people will tolerate more. But tolerance will never outweigh production. Tolerance will never outweigh production. It will never happen. It has never happened. We live in a capitalist world. Tolerance versus production. If your production is outweighing what they have to tolerate, no problem. They'll tolerate anything. Manchester United tolerated George Best, who was pitching up drunk at football matches every Saturday and Sunday. But he was the best. So you let him get away with more. Production versus tolerance. Jose Mourinho at Porto. You could get away with his behavior, running up and down the touchline at Manchester United. Oh, it's great. He's quirky. He's new. He's the new age. He's winning. He's winning you the treble at Porto. Chelsea, I'm the special one. He comes, breaks the stronghold of Manchester United and Arsenal at the time. Gives you the record points total that Chelsea have ever had. Highest scoring team in Premier League history. He's winning. You can tolerate Jose Mourinho. You can tolerate him calling Arsene Wenger a voyeur. Because he's winning. Production versus tolerance. Jose Mourinho has not won a title in 3 years. Now, 3 years is the lifespan of a Premier League manager. 91 games. The algorithms are in. 91 games is the average lifespan of a Premier League manager. So that's 3 seasons. 91 is give or take 3 seasons. Give or take here and there. Probably about 30 short. But okay, let's round up. So that's 3 seasons. Jose Mourinho has not won a title. He's not winning this season. That's 4 seasons in a row. No major trophies. He hasn't had a major trophy since 2015. That's 4 years. The decorative trophies he's won of the Europa League, League Cup, those don't count. Nobody takes those seriously. So now what's happening is that the production is lower than the tolerance. You cannot have the response at Chelsea. That was not dignified. He was incited, but you must be the bigger man. This is Manchester United. You're no longer at these tiny clubs. You're not at Porto anymore. You're not the 22-year-old girl getting drunk at the pub at university. You're a big man now with 2 kids and a wife. It's time to grow up. Jose Mourinho, now the production and the tolerance. Tolerance is now outweighing the production. And this is what happens when somebody is a self-anointed special one. And then you have to deal with him in his decline. Now, the biggest question and the final question for me is we can all see the writing on the wall. Jose Mourinho has never recovered relationships before. Once it's gone sour, Chelsea first time, Real Madrid, Inter Milan, once it's soured, and it was gone. The best predictor of the future is the past. I do not understand why Manchester United are delaying the inevitable. It's not going to work with Pogba. It's not going to work with Martial. It's not going to work with these young kids. Jose Mourinho is off the leash, and his response at Juve tells me everything I need to know about a man who has lost his powers. Jose Mourinho is not responding like that in his earlier years. Some may say, what about that response? Inter Milan against Barcelona ran across the entire pitch to incite the fans after hanging on with 10 men. So it's in his character. Manchester United knew what they were doing, but now it is time to cut bait. There is no room for sentiment at the top. This is a world-class business that is failing dismally. You don't have to like what I'm saying, but if you're a Manchester United fan, you cannot disagree with me. If you're a 22-year-old girl in university, getting drunk 4 times a week, nobody cares. But when you're 28, you have kids, you have a husband, you have a house. You've got to look after your family. You've got to grow up. Jose Mourinho, unfortunately, has just not grown up. And now he's not the new shiny thing in town. Unfortunately, now he's an old guy who can't manage with the millennials, and it is costing him. Production versus tolerance. Tolerance will never outweigh production. And people might say, why do you need to fire Jose Mourinho now? If you're a top manager, Manchester United hot seat is starting to look less and less desirable. Top managers do not go to places where there is chaos. Top managers do not go to places where there is chaos. Ed Woodward needs to think about that. The image of Manchester United, they can have all the money in the world. But I don't know if I'm Julian Nagelsmann. He's the next one up. If I want to go to a situation as chaotic as that, I may wait for Pep Guardiola to leave Manchester City. If I'm the next big guy, I want to go to stability. So Manchester United have a lot of thinking to do. I don't know why they are delaying the inevitable. Jose Mourinho should have gone at the end of the season. They're gonna come outside of the top 4 again this season. Whether you like it or not, they've had 2 good results in a row against Bournemouth and Juventus, but that is not the true character of this team. We have seen the holes. Jose Mourinho, I will say it last time, never in the history of ever has tolerance ever exceeded production. Jose Mourinho has not won a meaningful title in what is close on 5 years now. It is madness in Manchester. Jose Mourinho should have gone at the end of the previous season, and I do not understand why there is sentiment at Manchester United for the very first time. Yesterday I spoke about it. Ed Woodward is not the man for the job. It would have been unthinkable under David Gill, some of the things that Jose Mourinho has been allowed to get away with and do. You cannot respond like he did at Juventus. I don't care about your personal feelings. This is Manchester United. You represent more than just yourself. Shame on you, Jose. But even more so, shame on the United board. And to those that aren't Manchester United fans, I guess they're celebrating. They're like, let the show go on. Because we are seeing a great club crumble. And remember, the thing why I say they should fire him ASAP is that it's still going to take Manchester United a good 4 or 5 seasons to recover, because now mediocrity has really deep-rooted itself in the club. If you don't believe me, go and check the league positions in the last 4 seasons. You don't have to believe me. Men lie, women lie. Numbers, they don't lie. Mediocrity is now Manchester United. They won't like this, but Man United are the new Arsenal. They are now a top 6 club and delighted to be in the top 6. You don't have to like what I'm saying for it to be true. Jose Mourinho and the Manchester United board are a big part of that. So Bobby Charlton said Jose would not suit United. He pontificates far too much for me. The father figure said it, and they should have listened. Let's move on to Liverpool. What an interesting situation that is there. I've had my say pre-season, and I will continue to have my say throughout this show. They've got a guy at the helm who I really love. Who I really, really love. I love Jurgen Klopp. He's awesome. He's somebody who seems like he'd be a cool buddy to have around. Like a cool guy to just watch football with, you know? Like come round. Let's grill some burgers and watch some football. Like he just seems like that guy. Like just a good time, just a great time. Like jovial, you know? Just a lad. And you know, in life, we let people we like get away with more. Like if I like you and you crashed my car, I'm like, oh, that's terrible. Oh, but he's a good vibe. Oh well, I've got insurance. But if I don't like you and you crash my car, I'm going to make you pay it back. I'm going to make you find the panel beaters. And then I'm going to make you like cover the excess for the next 6 years. And maybe even buy me a new car. Like if I don't like you, right? Like if you like people, you treat them differently. That's just how it is. Like life's not fair. Like if I like you, I'm going to treat you better. And people want Klopp to do well because he's likable. He's so awesome. He's what they call affable, isn't he? He's just the best. Like his interviews are just always like blockbuster. He's like the new, Mourinho. Like Mourinho back in the day. Except better. He's got like a sense of humor. And he's like the normal guy with a cap on, you know? Like Mourinho is weirdly good looking as well. I think people will find that uneasy. Like Klopp just looks like a normal guy with his crazy teeth, his crazy glasses. And he's just like these idiosyncrasies of his. But I think the media let him get away with absolute murder. People want Klopp to do well, and the media give him a break. Seriously, I've never seen anybody get away with more than Jurgen Klopp. I genuinely have not. Liverpool are tipped by some people in mainstream media, and this is madness, as league favourites. Have I moved to planet ridiculous? And no one's telling me about this. Liverpool tipped as league favourites. Like, what are we talking about? What planet are we living on? What planet are we living on? Jurgen Klopp has not won a league title in 6 years. And I have to be honest with you, the only reason he won a title is because he had this Polish guy called Roberto Lewandowski, who's at Bayern Munich now, and they haven't won another one since. And he's unbelievable. 6 years. Why do people think Jurgen Klopp's going to win a league title? He hasn't won in 6 years. Yeah, but he's the Opel ambassador, and apparently the sales have gone up and he saved the company. So we like him, so it's cool. Yeah, he's fine. Keep him around. And the media protect him. It's crazy. Yes, but he bought Virgil van Dijk. Well, it's Virgil van Dijk, Sergio Ramos now. Virgil van Dijk's never won anything. He's never led a team to anything. Don't tell me about Scottish football. Don't tell me about Scottish football. What was it? Virgil van Dijk turned into Nemanja Vidic. Sergio Ramos. Who's he? Alessandro Nesta. Come on, man. Come on. Let's get serious. Are we serious? Virgil van Dijk, really? Is that what you are pinning your hopes on? Is that what we're doing now? No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that, guys. Come on. Virgil van Dijk. Like Naby Keita. Yeah, okay. Well, they bought Michael Essien, have they? Yeah, they got Michael Essien. They actually got Roy Keane. Come on. Come on, guys. Let's get serious. Why does Jurgen Klopp get such a big pass? Naby Keita's not Michael Essien. Right? I'm sorry, you're not winning the league title when James Milner is your best player. James Milner, in American sport, they call it the MVP. James Milner's Liverpool's most valuable player. Don't tell me about Salah. Salah's a one-season wonder. I've been saying it. I'll cover that more in another topic. Love Sadio Mane, but he's not Cristiano Ronaldo. He's not Didier Drogba. James Milner is the most valuable player that Liverpool have. And you think you're going to win the league. Why does Klopp get protected from that? I don't understand why Liverpool are being considered as league favourites. Because City and Spurs are better than them. Not because I like either team. But they just are. They just are. Spurs have finished above Liverpool for the last 4 seasons running. What must I do about that? I'm not biased. But I'm not the liberal media that wants to protect Jurgen Klopp because he's a cool guy. But like I told you, men lie, women lie. Numbers don't lie. Spurs have better players. Virgil van Dijk does not get into the Spurs team. He's not better than Vertonghen. He's not. He's not better than that Sanchez kid that they got. And Sanchez is the third best they got. Because Toby Alderweireld's the best of all 3. Virgil van Dijk doesn't even get in the Tottenham squad. And he's Liverpool's linchpin. Apparently he's the new Franco Baresi. Get out of here with that. Why does Jurgen Klopp get protected by the media? I find it so bizarre. But it's because he's likable. And we want people who we like to do well. And that's fine, but that's rooting. As the media, you shouldn't be rooting for anyone. You must report the news. That's why people have to go to journalist school. Right? You go to varsity for this. You have to get a degree. Because you have to work on what we call empirical evidence. You have to have sources. Why is Jurgen Klopp the title favourite? Why are Liverpool the title favourites? There is no evidence, either in the past 10 years, or currently, to say that this team can go to a league title. They don't have any league-winning players. James Milner was a role player at Manchester City in a dynasty. James Milner was a role player in a dynasty when he won his league titles. Who else is a winner in this? Who? Danny Sturridge. Who else has major league titles? Come on, guys. You can't keep protecting Jurgen Klopp trying to tell me he's what? Come on. Is he Paisley? Who is he? The new Sir Alex Ferguson? Is he Jupp Heynckes? I mean, where is this coming from? Why do the media protect Jurgen Klopp like this? I'm sorry, he's been abysmal. But they're not better than City and they're not better than Spurs. Best case scenario, Liverpool come third this year. That's the best, absolute best case scenario. It's because Chelsea don't have a striker. They could come fourth this year, and I'm not being unreasonable. Best case scenario, they come third this year. People go, you just hate Liverpool. Okay, fine. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'm just a man. I could lie. Men lie, women lie. Numbers, they don't lie. I love numbers. They don't care who you are. Let's compare him to Brendan Rodgers. Brendan Rodgers he doesn't have that je ne sais quoi, if we can call it that. So in Rodgers' 3 full seasons, he came 7th, 2nd, and 6th. In the second season, it was the only season where they gave him a world-class player outside of Stevie G. Xabi Alonso went, and that got ugly. Okay. But he had Suarez for 1 season, really, for 3/4 of a season, because Suarez can't stop biting people. And he took them to 2nd and a Stevie G slip away from a league title. He spent £215 million. £215 million that Brendan Rodgers spent in 3 seasons, 3 full seasons. Jurgen Klopp in his 2 seasons has come 4th twice, spent £378 million, broke the world record at that stage for a goalkeeper who's looking unbelievably dodgy. Unbelievably dodgy. And at best, they're coming 3rd this season. He's never finished above Spurs. He's never finished above Spurs. He outspent Spurs by £150 million this past season. He's not going to finish above them. Pochettino's a better manager. They've got a settled side. Kane's on the way back again. Dele Alli's coming back. And those aren't great players. And Klopp can't get past those guys. Why do the media protect this guy? Jurgen Klopp's great fun. But he's lost 2 Champions League finals. He lost a League Cup final. So when money on the table, he's come up short every single time. That Borussia Dortmund was a long time ago, guys. That was 2012, I think, was the last one. That's 6 years ago. 6 years ago. Lewandowski, Götze. What a team that was. I'm sorry, I can't take it. I can't accept it. I'm not the liberal media. I don't have an agenda. And I like Klopp, but I prefer facts. Liverpool are not league title favourites. I'm sorry. I don't know how to tell you. And the numbers back me. He's never finished above Spurs in his 2 seasons, and he has outspent Spurs by 180 over the 2 seasons. But he has outspent them by 150 this past season. 150 million pounds more at the beginning of this season, and he's going to finish behind Spurs. I can guarantee it. Because Salah's not Messi, surprise, surprise. Mane's not Drogba. He's not Henry. He's not taking you to the next level. They're not winning the league. Virgil van Dijk's nobody. Like, what are you trying to tell me? So is he Sergio Ramos now? I've asked this question before. Oh, we got Virgil van Dijk now. I don't want to hear it. Stop letting Jurgen Klopp get away with it. And that's what he's doing. He's getting away with it. I'm sorry. And I won't let it happen. I won't let it happen. Best case scenario, Liverpool 3rd this year. Spurs to finish somewhere in the top 3, I think. I think Liverpool could finish 4th, to be honest. Chelsea looks serious. If Hazard stays fit, I think Chelsea could be 3rd. Or 2nd. I think they're better than Spurs. But what I know is Spurs are going to finish in front of Liverpool. I think Liverpool will finish 4th, to be honest. They don't have a better team than Spurs. And Spurs aren't very good. The back four's not very good. But Spurs have a great back four. Trippier, Sanchez, Vertonghen, Alderweireld, who's the best, I think, probably the best CB in the league. Between him and Azpilicueta somewhere. And then they got that Davies kid on the left who's just solid. And he's better than Robertson. 100%. Like, what are people seeing? Dembele's injured now, but whatever. They've got Dyer. He's all right. What are people saying? Well, why are Liverpool league title favourites? They came 4th last season. That's not how it works in sport. You don't get just leapfrog people. Leicester was an anomaly. It happens. That's like a miracle. 5,000 to 1. Liverpool are not league favourites. They just are not. They don't have the quality and they've never won. And quite frankly, Klopp is not a winner. He's good fun. But he's lost twice in the Champions League final, and he's already shown you at Liverpool, League Cup final, lost. So please, Liverpool are not league favourites, and Jurgen Klopp is not Sir Alex Ferguson. Do me a favour, get a grip. Top 4 guaranteed, absolutely. You'd better. You spent 150 million or whatever it was this season, 155 million pounds. So you'd better get top 4. Because Brendan Rodgers got a Stevie G slip away in a season where he spent nothing and he just had Luis Suarez. But nobody likes Brendan Rodgers. He's not cool. He doesn't give great interviews. So Brendan Rodgers wasn't a good manager. He was a great manager. He did such a great job in that season. Gave us probably the most exciting Liverpool team. Maybe the most exciting Premier League team we've ever seen. With Suarez and Sturridge up front. Seriously. Like City are good. They're not that exciting. They're not as exciting as that Liverpool team with Sturridge and just Suarez, actually. Just Suarez. If he could just stop biting people, that would have been probably the greatest season you've ever seen. He won the top goal scorer season, and he was suspended for the first 6 games of the season. That was under Brendan Rodgers. You've got to give him some credit. He made Danny Sturridge look like he was Maradona in that combination. That was Brendan Rodgers. I've seen nothing from Jurgen Klopp to suggest that we should be giving him a break. He's come 4th twice, behind Spurs. Every time. He's going to come behind Spurs this season again. Why are we letting this guy get away with it? The media needs to get a grip. Liverpool fans, get a grip. They are not favourites. It's not happening. And start holding your manager accountable. I like him, but I just prefer facts. I'm not compelled by people. I'm sorry if it hurts your feelings. I'm not compelled by people. I'm compelled by numbers and evidence. And the evidence is just too compelling that Jurgen Klopp is not the guy. And he's so cool. Like, I like him. But I'm not a Liverpool fan, so I hope they keep him and I hope the mess continues. Because they're not going to do better than fourth under him. There's something missing. There's a ruthless edge missing. He's almost too nice, I think. In order to win, you've got to be mean. There needs to be a sort of Machiavellian darkness to winning. You've got to want it more than the other guys. And I think he's just too nice. But everybody, get a grip. The media, get a grip. Like, Jurgen Klopp is not... What are we talking about here? League favourites. Do me a favour. Do me a favour. Come on, guys. Jeez. Jurgen Klopp. Liverpool league favourites. I mean, what are we talking about? What, Sadio Mane, Bobby Firmino, and Mohamed Salah? What are they now? Carlos Tevez, Wayne Rooney, and Ruud van Nistelrooy. Is that what we're talking about? Have those three become that now? Come on, guys. Do me a favour. Speaking of which, we're going to move over to something I'm going to do every single Friday. It's called the FridayFive. So every Friday, I'm going to give you the top 5, my top 5 of whatever the topic may be. So every Friday, I'll call it the FridayFive. This week, I'm going to give you the top 5 Premier League strikers of all time. This is my list. You can comment below with your list. But I think this is solid. Don't think you can dispute it. These are the 5 best strikers, and it doesn't necessarily mean the best goal scorers. Because just scoring the most goals doesn't mean you're the best. That's not how soccer works. It's not how football works. It's not how football's ever worked. So I'm going to give you my 5 best strikers in Premier League history. Here we go. At number 5, the man who changed the history of Blackburn Football Club forever. Born in Newcastle, of course, he came round and eventually represented his club and became the top goal scorer for Newcastle as well. The most goals in Premier League history, 260. Fastest man to 100 goals in Premier League history. He led Blackburn, of course, to that Premier League title, along with Chris Sutton. He scored bucket loads of goals for his hometown club, and that was an awesome story, wasn't it? If you haven't seen the video, go on YouTube. Alan Shearer coming home is one of the coolest things I've ever seen in football history. He led Newcastle to the Champions League. Got them into the top 4 under the famous, of course, Sir Bobby's team. He tolerated Craig Bellamy, who was awesome, but my goodness, he was hard work. Alan Shearer at number 5. At number 4, the man from Argentina. 3 Premier League titles, 150 goals so far in 219 games. He has got the second best ratio to goals. He's got tree trunk legs. He makes it impossible for defenders to get the ball off him. He's got a first touch that kills the ball dead as a stone. He scored the most dramatic winner and created the most dramatic moment in Premier League history. Aguero against QPR to steal the title from Manchester United after they thought they had won it is an unbelievable moment. He's the main reason Man City are what they are. He has been a model of consistency over the last 6 years. He is quite simply the best striker in the Premier League going today. No comparison. And lastly, he gets points for putting up with that guy Diego Maradona as a father-in-law. My guy at number 4, Sergio Kun Aguero, 3 Premier League titles, 150 goals. The 4th best striker the Premier League has ever seen. At number 3, my God, he was a part of the most feared duo, I think, in Premier League history. Got himself well over 150 goals, I think 187 in total. Andy Cole. The best combo over, of course, with Dwight York in that treble-winning season, 99. Unbelievable season. He was huge in that treble-winning season. Absolute tanker, playing 3 games a week through the entire season. And his hold-up play, his dynamism, his pace. He was Drogba before Drogba. 5 titles, he was major. He was the linchpin in 4 up front. All-round striker, power, pace, finesse. My guy, Andy Cole, at number 3. Premier League has seen very few players like him. At number 2, I think he's the greatest player Africa's ever had. People say George Weah. I disagree. Didier Drogba is a force the world has never seen. Let me put it in context. Didier Drogba forced the entire Premier League to stop playing 4-4-2. They had to switch to a 4-3-3 because everybody thought, okay, we can just put a big person up front and we can play one up front and put an extra man in midfield. That was in 2004. It's 2018 now. Teams are still looking to find a Drogba. There's never been another Drogba. That was in 2004. When you're so good that you can get an entire league, the whole league and subsequently the world, changed from 4-4-2 to 4-3-3 because of you. Because they said, that's the guy we have to replicate. He was the Claude Makelele of the striker role. The Premier League's never seen anything like it. He had pace like a wing. He had the body of Nemanja Vidic. He could have been a centre-back and was, in fact, in the beginning. Pace like a winger, the finishing finesse of Michel Platini. 4 titles, he was major in 3 for Chelsea Football Club. He revolutionized the club and took them to another level. He made Frank Lampard look like Platini. And get this, from striker in 2005-2006, Didier Drogba was the assists leader in the league. Like, that's impossible. That is impossible. How's the striker the assist leader in a one-up front system? Didier Drogba, my guy, at number 2. The greatest striker in Premier League history. So he is undoubtedly the greatest player in Premier League history as well. There is no comparison to this guy. And it's not close. I call him the Lionel Messi of the Premier League. He's the greatest player the Premier League has ever seen. Nobody has even come close. I tell you, no one has made football or the Premier League ever look this easy again. He scored insane goals for fun. That's why I call him the Leo Messi of the Premier League. He led Arsenal to the invincible season. He was the Golden Boot winner 4 times. 2 of those occasions, he was the league leader in Europe. So that meant in any league, he scored the most. When you do that twice in the Premier League, at that time, the Premier League has never seen anything like it. Va va voom. Thierry Henry, the greatest striker the Premier League has ever seen. He scored goals for fun. Ask Jamie Carragher. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Google Arsenal goal versus Liverpool, Jamie Carragher. Thierry Henry. Titi Henry. So my list once again, top 5 greatest strikers of all time. My FridayFive, Shearer at 5. Sergio Kun Aguero at 4. And the talisman for Man United's treble-winning season, Andy Cole at 3. Didier Drogba, the Ivory Coast monster, at 2. And at number 1, not just the greatest striker, but the greatest player that the Premier League has ever seen. Titi Henry Vavavoom. 175 goals. And many of those, the best we've ever seen. Go on YouTube, Henry highlights. Thierry Henry, my number 1 for the FridayFive. So that FridayFive will be coming back to you. Man, that was awesome. I love doing those lists. And that'll be coming to you every single Friday. My FridayFive. As I said, this weekend's going to be awesome, isn't it? There's so much cool sport. I'm into boxing. There's the boxing. Tony Bellew is now bowing out. He's quite a cool character if you haven't seen him in the boxing. But he's fighting what I think is the greatest boxer of this generation. I don't count Floyd Mayweather or any of those guys as part of this generation. But if you have not seen Alexander Usyk, my God, He's a different animal. I like Bellew. I like Matchroom Boxing and what they've done for Bellew. But Alexander Usyk is the next guy. He is a cruiserweight who is unstoppable. Technically, if you're into boxing, I promise you've never seen anything like this guy. He moves like Lomachenko, and he punches like Sugar Ray Robinson. His hands are so quick. So there's that to look forward to. There's the rugby to look forward to. So I'm going to give you my predictions. The All Blacks play England. England, of course, beat the Springboks last weekend. France play South Africa this weekend. And then, of course, it's the big Manchester derby as well. So I'm about to give you my predictions. I'm going to start with the rugby. I'll finish off with the Manchester derby. All Blacks play England. I've gone with 30-14. England are poor, aren't they? England are so poor. Oh, it only tells you how bad the Springboks were last week. Listen, if England make those mistakes again, Mario Todje gets sent off, you go down to 14 men against the All Blacks, Beauden Barrett doesn't have time for that. Beauden Barrett does not have time for that. So I've gone to 30-14 for the All Blacks. England are poor and the All Blacks aren't the Springboks. Any mistakes will be punished and the leadership is strong. 30-14 to the All Blacks. I think the punters have called it 7 points to England. If you're a punter, take that. I'll give England 7 points. I think they're going to take 15. They're going to lose by at least 15. I've gone to 30-14. France All Blacks. France are the worst they've ever been, I think. And my God, they've been bad. But for those who didn't know, the French rugby team has only won 5 games in 19. 5 games. I nearly fell off my chair when I was doing the research. 5 in 19 games. That's abysmal. That's beyond abysmal. 5 in 19. That's hilarious. That is absolutely hilarious. 5 in 19. France are horrible. The Springboks actually have a great record in France for whatever reason. Of course, it's South Africa's favorite place in modern day rugby. That's where we won in 2007. Famous, but we had a great team back then. Maybe the world's most boring team ever under Jake White, but a great team. A team full of legends, a team full of winners. And I've gone with the Springboks. 25-14. France are terrible. I think South Africa, we've picked a massive pack again. No dynamism besides Whiteley, but okay. That's a rant for a different podcast. I've gone with the Springboks. Purely because France are terrible, and for whatever reason, the Springboks are great in France. Gerry Mostert will be back in there, give it a bit more dynamism, but it's a slow, big pack again, so he'll bully the French pack. And this time, I think he'll be able to bulldoze them, unlike he was unable to do with the Springboks' one-dimensional game plan against England. You can bully the French. They are terrible. I'm going to repeat that again. France have only won 5 games in 19. How crazy is that? Ugh. That's ugly. Springboks 25-14. And now the big derby. So I don't want to be biased, because people always think I'm biased against Man United. I just call what I see. I'm not. But Man United have had a long week. They've had a long week. That Bournemouth game, they scored in the last minute to equalize, so they had to push themselves there. They went to Juventus and got the most ridiculous victory you will ever see. If you watch the game, watch it over again. Juventus missed 4 one-on-one in the box sitters and hit the post twice. Man City are not missing 4 sitters. Kun Aguero doesn't miss sitters. He's not Cuadrado, and he's not Fraser. He's not any of those guys. Kun Aguero is the real deal. If you give Kun Aguero 4 chances, David Silva, Leroy Zane, if you give any of those guys sitters, you're toast. You're toast. This week, I think Man United have had 3 games of high intensity. They're going to be exhausted. Bournemouth and Juventus both missed 3 or 4 in the box sitters. At least. Hit the post a couple of times. Aguero and Sterling are on fire. I don't think Sterling's very good, but he is on fire. I've gone with Man City 4-1. I can't see it going any other way. Man United are fatigued. Man City are flying. I cannot see it going any other way. Man, that was an awesome show. Awesome show. Episode 2. That was so fun. Look out, of course, on Monday. Join me on Monday. I will release another podcast on Monday. That'll be episode 3. We'll roll on in the week. I'll do a recap, of course, of the football on the weekend, the sport on the weekend, and let you know what is happening in all of world sports. Thank you for joining me for this week, and I look forward to seeing you again very, very soon.